Hello and welcome. The New Voices series are 5 sessions with Ottawa artists that represent different demographics: Indigenous, Black, Two-Spirits LGBTQ+, New Canadians, and artists with a disability. Our intent is to open a conversation that touches on the barriers and challenges of being an artist of these marginalized groups, but also telling their stories of success. We would like to acknowledge the sponsorship of Factor who made possible this project. The New Voices series is very well aligned with a Share World Fest mandate as an advocate by bringing awareness to audiences about the contributions of equity-seeking communities and providing artists a platform to amplify their voices. I hope you enjoy them.
Hey, Melinda, you never let me know why you picked it up and moved to Etobicoke. Hey, 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 I sure hope life does you well. Come on, brother, sitting here and down. 3 years running since we tried to talk things out. Hey, 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 man, I thought you were my friend. All the obstacles of life bring us joy and then they keep us up at night. When the world is not obliged, only we can make it right. We can make it sitting solo to catch the westbound train. A young disheveled man started to complain. You don't know all the trouble that I've seen, They tried to hurt me, she made me go away. 13 months now since I've seen the light of day. Hey, 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 life is short, so don't miss out. You gotta shake your doubts. All the obstacles of life, they bring us joy and then they keep us up at night. When the world is not obliged, only we can make it right. Oh, make it. I'm still going strong. The last thing is ever good things take so long. Hey, 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 but it's all worth it in the end. Yeah, yeah. All the obstacles of life, they bring us joy and then they keep us up at night. When the world is not obliged, only we can make it. Only we can make it. Only we can make it. Hey, Melinda, you never let me know why you picked it up and moved to Etobicoke. Hey, 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 I sure hope life does you well. I sure hope life does you well. That was a tune called Make It Right. We like to refer to that as our Canadian content song. That's off our album, Catch the Westbound.
Hello and welcome to the last episode of the New Voices series by Ashe Worldfest. Today it's an honor and a privilege to speak to one of the greatest musicians in Ottawa, Lucas Hanneman. Welcome.
Thanks, Yasmin. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you, and I'm so looking forward to our conversation. I do recall when I called you to tell you about this series and this project we were putting, and basically to target artists who belong to equity-seeking or equity-deserving communities. And when I told you, well, Lucas, I'm reaching out to you because I definitely need to feature an artist with a disability. And what did you tell me? Do you recall exactly what you told me? Because it was very interesting.
Yeah, what I told you is that, well, of course I'm happy to be part of it, and I'm happy to be part of this segment of the event. But I personally do not see myself as having a disability because my visual impairment has never impeded my ability to play the guitar. I actually see it as a blessing.
That's right.
Yeah.
You have very good ears, huh?
Well, I try. I've worked hard to work on my ears, for sure. I've been transcribing music since I was, knee-high to a grasshopper, so to speak, So, yeah, music's always been a huge, huge part of my life. And, when people ask me questions like, oh, how do you play if you can't see the frets? Well, I just say, well, I picked a perfect instrument for me because you can feel the frets. You can feel the strings. It's not like a theremin where you're just, in midair all the time, right?
That's right.
So I love it. And I've always said that my visual impairment has given me an upper hand as a musician because it has allowed me to listen on a deeper level to the musicians around me. It's allowed me to pick out chord voicings if I'm listening, trying to transcribe music, things like that. Faster, perhaps, but it's all this whole thing is true where I think if you're lacking a sense, you have to work on your other senses to make sure that they're heightened. And that's what I've tried to do with the guitar.
Great. But again, let's say when you and many artists who belong to this seeking, equity-seeking communities, they do have to, when we are applying for grants or funding opportunities, these groups are becoming kind of like a priority groups to be funded or to be supported, or but the best example will be this project, is providing voices to people who have been feeling marginalized or they feeling that they haven't received a fair, let's say, treatment. So when we're applying for grants, we have to kind of check the box that where we belong as a group, right? But you still check that box, and even when sometimes when you feel like you go into a music industry. Don't you think that kind of surface?
Yeah, I do now. I mean, when I was a younger artist, I never really felt like I guess I didn't feel comfortable talking about the challenges that I am faced with as an artist with a disability, quote unquote, right? I've talked about the positive side of it for me as a player, and I certainly wholeheartedly believe that. But the other side of it is the side of going to a music industry event and having people look at you funny and not know how to talk to you, So that's the tough part for me. And that is, I feel like it's important to talk about the real stuff. And that is a real thing as an artist. And, we don't get to talk about that much. In the past, I always used to kind of gloss over that. But to me, it's a truthful thing. People see me on stage and they have no idea that I have a visual impairment. They just think I'm really into it, which is true. So I have a good time when I play. But it's kind of a funny thing when people come up to me after a gig. They say, "Oh, are you like?" Sometimes they think I'm autistic. Sometimes they don't know. They don't know what it is.
Goodness.
So it can be a tough thing, to just explain it to people. And I don't feel awkward about it because I'm just like, yeah, I have a visual impairment, But I can recall many times, well, I'll put it this way, when you go to those industry events and you have your 2 minutes to give your elevator pitch, right, about yourself.
Yeah.
The first 25 seconds are spent me just explaining, yes, I do have a visual impairment. So if I'm not looking at you in the eye, it's not on purpose. And then people sometimes just don't know what to do with me. It's kind of a 50-50 thing. Some people get really, really awkward. Other people are like, great, you know. But it does put up a barrier. And I do feel like sometimes certain opportunities have been tough for me because of the disability that I have. Also, when it comes to technology, online, my wife is an amazing person in that regard, and she is so helpful, and I don't tell her, I couldn't tell her often enough how much I appreciate her for everything that she does to help out. You know, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. She's always right there doing it really for me, because of the fact that the technology is very difficult with the software I have to use on my computer and the software I have to use on my phone. Basically everything that takes everyone else 30 seconds to do, sometimes it could take me 5 minutes to do it. So therefore, yeah, there are some difficulties, and I try not to get bogged down by those, but they do make a slow road in certain regards of the industry for me, I think.
Yeah, and I'm thinking as well, it could be related to kind of a lack of education or awareness people had to kind of like be more inclusive, or particularly when we're talking about scenarios where we are in the music market, where there's the networking is kind of like the main target when you attend one of those events, right?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. I mean, to me, it's the lack of understanding, the lack of education that people have about people in these minority groups. But it's also, unfortunately, I've seen this when I've played at events for people who are visually impaired, CNIB things, things like that, where unfortunately, sometimes in these communities, there is a bit of a woe is me mentality. And I do not prescribe to that at all. And I make it my mission to completely retract it, from the way I'm perceived. My wife and I have a project called The Blind and the Beautiful, and it's tongue in cheek. It's supposed to be funny, right? So, and it's not to say that she is beautiful and I am blind. Of course she's beautiful, but it's to say that we're both beautiful. And sometimes blind, not seeing the things around you and just closing your eyes and listening is a beautiful thing. So, I've always had a positive perspective on it. But unfortunately, in my community, sometimes there is a bit of I can't do this and I can't do that. And my whole thing has always been to fight against that and just push forward. So...
What a great and inspiring attitude. I really admire you a lot as a musician, as an individual, and we're gonna be enjoying your music. We already listened to one of your songs, and then we'll continue listening to your music with the Lucas Hanneman Express, which is your band. And tell me a little bit. I think you're gonna be playing one song, like kind of like you talk a little bit about what you're saying.
Yeah. So I mean, as I say, I'm not someone who has a heavy heart when it comes to my disability or whatever. I like to poke fun at myself. So there is a tune that we're going to play called Blind Man's Blues, which is about all the things that I shouldn't do, but yet I still do. I won't get into the details, but I've driven quite a few cars, and I probably shouldn't, I walk into things more often than I like to admit, but I like to laugh it off. Often, and this happened earlier today, I'll think I'm talking to somebody, but they're in another room, and this happens to me all the time, and I think it's hilarious, absolutely hilarious. So that's what that song is about. It's called Blind Man's Blues, and it's one of my favorites for sure.
Amazing. Well, I'm pretty sure our audiences will enjoy that. But I can spend the entire day talking to you, but we cannot just leave this conversation without talking about the impact of the pandemic and how the music industry has been fighting back with the new ways of monetizing consumption of music and doing online shows. And how's that has been for you?
What a change, in the last year. My God, everything's been thrown up on its head, I think. But I've seen that most people who I know have been really, really pushing to still make that impact and to have the presence. And in my situation, I've become a YouTube artist, certainly in the last year. I've been using that as a way to get myself out there. As I speak
at this point, I'm at about 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm close to that. So that's a small accomplishment, but it's certainly something that, I've got a community of people every week who are watching my videos, and now I'm monetizing on YouTube, so I'm making money off of it. So it's a new revenue stream for me because I've been putting out 2 videos every single week on that platform. So that's been I kind of said to myself, well, what else am I going to do? I'm sitting at home, right? I want to stay creative, so that's what I'm trying to do. I have 2 series. I have one called Guitar Tone Tuesday, where I talk about instruments and pedals and guitar player geeky stuff. And then I have another series called Shut Up and Pluck It, where I basically start off with an idea, and I give myself 5 minutes, and I have no idea what I'm going to play, but I just improvise something. And it's been a great exercise, a great way to stay creative. So that's been great for me. My wife and I have been very fortunate to do live streams from home, Megan Lawrence and myself. We've worked on our setup. We've worked on getting a good sound and a good visual. So we've been very lucky. But we've also, we haven't been willing to settle. So we say, because I knew early on with this pandemic, the tricky part was going to be, well, I need to make this much money so that when you hire me back after the world goes back to the new normal, I don't want you to think that I'm not going to play for whatever I deserve. So we've been very diligent on making sure that we uphold a certain standard for ourselves in that regard. And therefore, we've also made sure that we give people a show that sounds good, that's not laggy, that's not staticky and fading in and out. We make sure that we've got good visuals. So we've been working hard on that. The next thing I want to try to get into is more of the grant side of things too, because I know that's something that could help me a lot, but it's just an issue of time. We have a 3.5-year-old daughter, and
I hear she's becoming the 3rd performer.
Yeah, she is for sure. I mean, she's quite she's very boisterous. What can I say? She's awesome. She's awesome. But yeah, with all these lockdowns, it's been tough to have the time to get certain things done. Even though we're at home all the time, it's so funny, right? So that's been the tough side of it. But we've been really pushing forward as much as we can with the different platforms and really trying to have a presence online.
Well, it's been such a delight having you as part of our series. Thank you once again for being part of it, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Let's watch now the Lucas Hanneman Express.
So here's an appropriate song for the reason why we're here today. This is a song that I wrote without looking. It's called Blind Man's Blues. 1, 2, 1, 2. When I get up, I start my day. A cup of coffee, then I'm on the way. I go out working with this guitar, but sometimes I drive myself and I drive too far. While I'm told I should keep both eyes on the road, but there's something that they don't know. Yes, I'm told. But I got places to be, no time to slow. Well, when I go walking, I move real fast, and I crush everything that blocks my path. It might be grassy, it may have arms, but I don't see it, so I haven't done no harm. Well, I tried. He tried. I should keep both eyes on my ride. Well, I know he is mine. Yes, I tried. But I am me and I can't apologize. Oh no, I think we're talking, but I'm talking to myself. No, no, no. Why am I talking to myself? It gets confusing, but I swear you never tell. No, no, no. I swear I'll never let you tell.
told this life is worth its weight in gold. Yes, I'm told. But I got places to be, no time to slow. Oh no, I think we're talking, but I'm talking to myself. No, no, no. Why am I talking to myself? Think it's confusing, but I swear you never tell. No, no, no. I swear I'll never let you, never let you, never let you tell. No, no, no.
So we are the Lucas Hanneman Express, and today we have Valerie Nehavora on drums. On bass, we have Alex Mastronardi, and I am Megan Lawrence, and this is Lucas Hanneman. This next song is called That's the Truth, and it's off our album, Tearing Up the Rails.
Forgiveness, I'll play for keys. You say you'll be there, but all you do is cheat. Well, am I wrong to invest my time in you? You left me high and dry, baby. I don't lie, that's the truth.
Always want me home early. Well, I never have my fun, but my head don't hit the pillow till the night is done. Now I may not be faithful, but you never, no, you know you never, never see me through. You left me high and dry, baby. I don't mind, that's the truth.
Why does it feel so good, even when you don't call my name? Why do we fuss and fight so much, but still enjoy the we build our own plastic dreams, but in the morning light, you're still begging, please, 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 please.
So this next song is our take on the traditional murder ballad, except we brought it up to today. And in this one, Miss McGrim gets to have her way.
Every morning at 7 a.m. and makes him breakfast and she pampers him. Friday evening though, at 9 o'clock, he's across town with his frightening knocks. Heaven knows she's heaven sent, heaven do away with him. A young man better listen in. Don't mess around with Miss McGrath.
Don't mess around me, homeward bound now. Don't mess around, cause in time you're found. Don't mess around me, homeward bound now. Don't mess around, cause in time you're found. First in common, last in grim. Smoking hips and a porcelain skin always keeps him satisfied. Why would he have another on the side? Heaven knows she's heaven sent,
Heaven do away with him. Young man better listen in. Don't mess around with Miss McGrath. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everyone's been screaming. No doubt it's the talk of the town.
They talking,
Yeah.
they talking, how he's got a turning, spinning on that merry-go-round. Well, way up and
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Everyone's been screaming. No doubt it's the talk of the town.
they talking, how he's got a turning, spinning on that merry-go-round. Well, way up and down.
Lots of pain, he moans. They're talking to his mistress on the phone. The jacket thrown to the bed, and the sticks and falls in the road ahead. Heaven knows she's heaven sent, heaven do away with him. The young man better listen in. Don't mess around with Miss McGrath.
Don't mess round me, homeward bound now. Don't mess round, cause in time you're bound.
Oh, no,
Don't mess round me, homeward bound now. Don't mess round, cause in time you're bound. Karma comes home, picks up his coat, but from the pocket falls a mistress note. Next Friday evening, or so it says, she drives a bullet right through his head.
Heaven knows she's heaven sent, heaven do away with him. The young man better listen in. Don't mess around with Miss McGrath. Heaven knows she's heaven sent, heaven did away with him. In his room he still screams with sin. Mess around with Miss McGrath.
Don't mess round, don't mess round with Miss McGrath.
Don't mess around. Don't mess around with Miss McGrath. Don't mess around with Miss McGrath.